This series of videos is going to be called Bob's Devotional Discernments, and I do not solemnly swear to leave out human politics because the Bible is a book of politics. But my devotional discernments is going to deal with more devotional type things, such as how I discern conducting myself from the Bible on a daily basis with walking in forgiveness and the Spirit, and the battle of the mind, and praying, encouraging myself to pray more often and remember to pray more often. Aside from one of those things I do is I try to remember to pray for intercession throughout the day, and I even go, if I forget to do that one day, I say, or a few days even, I cover that and I qualify that by saying, Lord, for the next 365 days, please, day and night, I already forgot the word, please intercede for me. So I'm praying without ceasing while I'm sleeping too, right? So, those are some things I can point out. This is an introductory kind of thing, but I'm going to point out, the Bible is a book of politics. You're going to tell me that thou shalt not kill is not political? Are you going to tell me that thou shalt not steal is not political? That's politics. Are you going to tell me that choosing one nation over another nation? And you have a choice of two nations, heaven's nation or hell's nation. You're going to tell me that's not political? Choosing Jesus is not political? It is political. It's the politics of heaven. It's the politics of heaven and hell. What do we want to be slaves? Something I wanted to bring up, to save time. I can't do a routine. My schedule is sporadic, and I can't be very routine. I would like to be in a way and keep all my subjects detailed on each video, and to do a pre-study and all that. But I've noticed that I'm forgetting stuff here, but too much caffeine. I'm recovering from some experiment I did that had me sleepy all the time, and I've been doing caffeine again, and my memory's failing, and it's got the sides of my lips cracking from drying out on caffeine. But I couldn't even feel the effects of caffeine because I was so sleepy. But this is a different subject. But losing your salvation. Do I believe we can lose our salvation? I've run into some people recently who don't believe in that, and they believe strongly, almost that it's people that do believe in not losing your salvation are false prophets. That's an extreme, I think. So where I land on that is that I'm not sure that I'm not 100% sure you keep your salvation. I'm not 100% sure that you would lose your salvation. What I do think happens more often is that we can tend to think we're saved and we're really not. I think it's been proven to me through Scripture that it made sense that you can lose the crown of life, lose a crown of life. I don't know if if you regain that or what, and you probably do, and that's a reward. That's not your salvation. But I tend to lean towards believing that you are once saved, always saved. The question is, were you sincerely saved the first time? So when some people talk about, so this is theological, but when people talk about, I do reassure my salvation. So that's a side point. I do reassure my salvation if I've fallen, just in case. I don't see anything wrong with that. Why not? But I keep skipping the subjects in my mind here. I don't know, my brain is working so funny today. But I just feel like I have to make videos. I'm recovering from some things and lack of sleep, I'll say. But and from some medicine that I took to try to help me with some things. I only took 3 doses, and I decided to throw it away. But It's had me messed up my bowel movements and everything. Lost my voice. I lost my voice, actually. That's partly why I'm not singing. But my body's been real slow. But I want to make some videos. I want to, when I have something cross my mind, I want to be able to put it down, because next week it won't be on my mind. And so I've learned things. I've learned things from those experiments and trying to better myself and to help myself be more consistent and having some chemical imbalances I wanted to fix. But I don't believe what some doctors do. That's another subject. I mean, I believe in taking care of my temple. I'm a realist. And so if I've had a problem with relapse once in a blue moon for one day, I don't believe in taking a medicine every day. And doctors want you to take some medicines every day to fix that. Some doctors do. And I'm like, no, I just want to take one to, if I get it stressed and frustrated, to help me not fall for the same thing I've fallen for before. So that's what I forgot to talk about, by the way. Willful sins. So some people believe that willful sinning makes you lose your salvation. So for me, I have to say, when have I done a willful sin? And I've done, my sins happen to be either not necessarily willful, because they're rationalized. Sometimes I'll sin and I rationalize it. Taking a risk is what I rationalize, and then I might sin after taking a risk. So put myself in a bad situation, a temptation situation, and I'll rationalize, well, there's nobody else good to hang around, or whatever. Or if it's me, I'm single, and I'm still trying to meet women, I'm like, well, these women are more like Pharisees. These women, you can't tell what they are. And these women here, so I might hang with this crowd, that crowd in my off time, and then find out that it was the wrong move, right? So or I have had relapses with drugs at times. And to me, I don't think that's the unpardonable sin or a big deal. I'm not a pastor. Let's credit that. I don't get paid for what I'm doing. I believe I'm saved. So I've rationalized it because I think it's medicine. And I think we've done a lot of trick things with our laws, and I'm tired of people talking bad about addicts at times. But I want to stay away from that. The crowd, I don't agree with the crowds that run that. I don't agree with the groups that are into stealing and everything else. But I've rationalized doing it if I've been out all night and had nowhere to sleep, and I'm surrounded by it in the middle of the night. I've done it at times, and I want to learn that I don't need that at those times, even at those times. So you do those things, you get robbed and all that. So I haven't completely beat that yet, but I've done a lot better, and I don't want to do it through the hypocrite ways. I want to learn it on the ground. I want to learn how to beat the temptations, not go lock myself down for a year and then have to start over and living in the real world, and find out once again that you haven't learned how to beat the temptations and learn what matters and what doesn't. So I'm going to beat it the organic way. I think I'm almost there. I've said that before. I don't care. I'll say it as many times as I have to. I think I'm there. I might be there. So, second of all, I've never had an addiction, so to speak. I've had you could call it a relapse. I call it relapse because that's terminology people halfway understand. But for me, it's just, I've taken medicines when I thought I needed a medicine. Very seldom. And then once I've done it, I'm like, that's enough. I want my mind to be available for God. That's how I feel about it. My mind's had a nice little escape. Not a nice escape, by the way. And then I got around people that robbed me, and predators and all that kind of stuff. And so when I've tried doctor's medicines to change the chemistry to keep me from doing the others, I didn't like that either, because I don't like my body having to recover from that. I don't like the fact that it stops me from being able to sing. I don't like the fact that it stops me from being creative, interferes with my prayer life and everything else. Makes you tired and fatigued. So I don't like medicines, generally. I generally am a health nut and don't like medicines. I have probably gotten more prone, again, to caffeine, and that's from losing sleep partly, but I have ways of doing it. I'll get chocolate milk and just add a dash of coffee, so it's not too much coffee usually. But when I had this one medicine that kept me feeling like I had narcolepsy, it was that bad. I'm walking and falling asleep while I'm walking, and it took my voice away. Well, when I took that, when I was recovering from that, I'm doing lots of more coffee in my chocolate milk, more than, and the size of my mouth dried out and started cracking, and it hurts, right? And that's from coffee. I've done it. It's not my imagination. I've done it a few times when I did too much coffee. It dried me out, and the side of my mouth cracks. That can happen in the winter too, but it's without coffee. But it's happened when I've done coffee, too much coffee. So another side effect of coffee I have is that my left leg goes numb. So I've had an issue with my left leg. I got either a blockage or some plaque or buildup or something going on in there that if I do too much caffeine, it gets scary with my left leg. The circulation's closed off, or it feels like I'm about to have a stroke or something. And my old hamstring injury comes out. I can feel it. It feels like I have a pulled hamstring, a torn hamstring. So but I still want to do coffee sometimes. So I don't know if I'll ever totally get off that or not, but I'm not going to do so much that I don't feel prayerful. It does. If I do too much caffeine, I don't feel prayerful. So I've touched a lot of subjects here, I guess, because I haven't talked in a while and because my memory had a lapse, and so I just went to the next subject. But I wanted to talk about eternal salvation. I think that most of the time, I do believe that our salvation is safe in Christ. He has the power to save us for eternal. And then when you think of it, we're newborn into his family, I think that's probably the case. I think there may be a discrepancy that, and it's probably in different verses. I have seen it in different verses that might suggest I know there's levels of hell, and there may be levels of heaven or certain parts of heaven. Some people have bigger mansions than others in heaven, but there's many mansions. And so you may lose some rewards. I don't think you lose salvation as much as you lose rewards. If you're not saved, you were never really saved. Like if you switch to Islam or Buddhism or atheism, back to atheism or to atheism, then you were never a true believer in the first place. You're not going to stop believing. But I have to question when I've fallen into sin. I'll point out that, like, if you do a medicine and you do too much, then you could be tempted to sin. And that's the point where I have made almost done willful sins of in lustful ways, being, giving up on love, waiting for that romantic partner, and wanting to be tempted to fornicate if I'm on too much medicine. And then, so I would say I don't willfully do those things, but at that point I might, but it's not technically willful. I wouldn't call it completely willful because you're not sober, and the Bible says you don't want to be drunk and because you'll utter perverse things, right? So, do you? What do I lose? I lose a crown of life or something, probably. I don't think I lose my salvation unless I do believe if I continue in it, I was probably never saved in the first place. But I snap out of it. But why have I done it again? Why have I done it again and again? Because I think I'm not going to get too drunk or too high or whatever. And because I had some kind of pain, or I was just somewhere I didn't feel like dealing with coyotes all night or dodging bullets all night when I've been stuck out before. And so I used medicine to pass the time. It works. It does work for that stuff. But the problem is some of those medicines they got side effects, and they are purposely catered to make you keep chasing it. Or you get ripped off, you get robbed, and so you try to chase it because you didn't get you didn't get to go the pace, to go slow, you're rushed, those kind of things. Because you a lot of times you get it from people, around people. So this is this is adult conversation, and it's we'll call it double X, but it's But the truth is, it's real life, and I'm not that addiction animal that people want to refer to. Most people as I'm not, who trumps that message is the dealers. They love to shame people, and they love that the church and other people fall for it, and they repeat the message of shaming people because it does bring them pain, and it does cause people to relapse on a medicine. It is okay. I don't think it's wrong for a person to take pain medicine, but for some people it is. The Bible talks about that. It says to one person some things are a sin, and to another person they're not a sin. And that's one of those things it's talking about, because for one person, the pain medicine helps them. I've had pain medicine before that helped me work. Or I've had caffeine before that helped me drive, stay awake. I've had, and that was productive. So at that time, some will still argue against it, but I disagree with them. Medicine is not the unpardonable sin. That's the biggest problem we have with it. People call it the unpardonable sin. Now, I didn't mean to get off on this subject, but it's a very controversial subject, and it's you're very isolated if you use medicine in our society. They do treat it like the unpardonable sin, and some people say you're not saved if you use the medicine. I do disagree with that. I don't think you're not a Christian if you've used a drug. I think if you continue to use it around a crowd of people who steal and who do those things and who do it outside the law without being licensed, and everybody doesn't understand that, we need to start teaching that you have to have a license to deal, and a business license as well. But I don't think you need a doctor's license. I think they should legalize it where people can deal herbs but have a certain type of license to do it, so they're regulated. It should be more natural stuff. So doctors don't deal enough natural stuff, and neither do psychiatrists. They don't deal enough natural stuff. They use a lot of synthetic, man-made stuff. And so it's a real messed up system. But it is science. And so I guess I gave a quick perspective on Bob's devotional perspective. I'm in that mode, so I don't know how political I got with it. But I was kind of in that devotional mode, wanting to be, but I wanted to tie it in together and show you. The stuff ties in together. I mean, if I'm going to walk in the Spirit, I got to stay off medicine. I mean, you go up on medicine, you come off medicine, you can walk in the Spirit. But if I want my mind to always be available to God, I got to stay off medicine. And I do. I want my mind to always be available to God. So I want to stay off caffeine as much as possible. That's hard to do too, right? So, because I like chocolate, I like coffee, I like them mixed. I like the mocha, right? So I don't really like it strong, but sometimes I do. And to me, that hampers my ability to walk in the Spirit and pray in the Spirit and be as theologically discerning. I can be analytically discerning. I can be very analytical and do sports mode stuff, sports analysis on caffeine. But when it comes to theological analysis and even political analysis, which is theological in a way, and it's spiritual, I'm not as discerning as I would be. So I might talk more about ways to save energy or something in politics. I can do those subjects on caffeine. But yes, I believe it's better to be off. I don't think it's a big sin to be on caffeine much, unless you're doing it regular all the time and you don't let your mind work naturally with God. So, that's my view. And I don't believe that the other views. I don't. The views that, because this is earth, this is not heaven. We do have pain and sorrow. No more sorrow, no more tears, no more crying in heaven. We do have that here. And medicines do help that stuff. They do help that stuff. God created them to help. But they're you can easily do too much of them, just like you can have too much sex even when you're married. You're not supposed to have too much sex. You're supposed to give God some time too. Don't be a nympho, right? So same thing with medicine. Sex is good medicine in a marriage. I think mostly, or romance especially. I'd say romance is more than sex, but being romantic and polite and happy and having fun, trying to get along, all that. And then sometimes that leads to sex. This is not a child's video, by the way, people. This is it's psychology. I mean, we should know these things psychologically. I mean, we don't. A lot of people aren't very good romantically. They get jealous about stupid stuff too, right? They get because of insecurities. But if they know this psychology, there's no reason to be insecure. Your partner's your partner, and you shouldn't play games and act like, oh, this is my old friend. Stick to your partner. Be best friends with the same sex. If you're gonna but your best friend is your marriage partner. Frankly, it's supposed to be. But I hate to say it, but that's how it should be, right? So I don't know. That's it. Sometimes I like being single because when it comes to that and choosing friends, it's hard to choose friends when you're by yourself because a lot of people you just can't trust. I mean, I've met very few people I can trust, but there's a lot of people I can have a nice chat with, and then we part ways because I trust them to have a nice conversation or halfway decent conversation, but we have different preferences on how to conduct ourselves in various matters, and sometimes huge disagreements. So why does anybody really want a close friend other than a marriage partner? Because friends, I mean, I understand having close friends, but not too close of friends, right? You have fun with it, but I mean, if you get too close, then you're going to have disagreements and trying to run each other's lives or tell somebody, I don't like the way you brush your teeth. Do it with a little more circular motion. I mean, now I think it's better to go up and down a little more when you brush your teeth. And then on the second brush, do the circular motion. And you only saw me do the first brush. I don't want to argue that with people. I really don't. So, don't have time for it. I think words like this are more important. Devotional words. Quotes. I like good quotes from Abraham Lincoln, from anybody that's had to come up with a discerning quote. I like to see them and try to apply them and realize our minds have a battle all day long to go through, right? And realize we've misconceived a lot of things. So, it's really hard nowadays for me to separate a devotional time, a political time, and when it comes to politics, and then I'll call it human politics, but not man-made politics. I'll say, but the human politics that we have to deal with, enforcement and stuff like that. I think we can deal a lot better with the psychological side of things, the psychological warfare side of things, and be able to escape and teaching people how to behave and live and to love their neighbors. And we can escape a lot of the enforcement. We can relieve the enforcement of a lot of things. But then the enforcement part, we need to be more resolute and know what we're doing and know what's most important to enforce, what's more attainable, because it's hard to catch people on some things. You can't just chase them down, but those sometimes are important things if they're hurting other people. So, those subjects matter. Whether how we legalize drugs or how we regulate drugs, medicine. Let's call it medicine, and how we decide or figure out who's out there extorting people, who's out there abusing people, who's out there making slaves of people. But I want to point this out: freedom of speech. Our country is built on freedom of speech. In a way, we may have the least freedom of speech, it seems. Some people force the freedom to speak in, and a lot of times it's the same people who are stopping you from having freedom of speech. But also you got a lot of the Republicans who are in the media. They do help push freedom of speech and speak their mind, and they don't care. They got bodyguards and everything, and the Democrats want to stop them from having freedom of speech here on the ground. I live on the ground, we'll say, and my life is threatened sometimes. I've been chased out of towns before because people find out I do some political videos or my gospel singing. I don't know specifically because I stand up against stealing and drug cartels that steal, stuff like that. And I call us the American cartel. I claim the American cartel is probably bigger than the Mexican cartel because we have them planted in every city, and we actually we protect the cartels by falsifying racism, and that's how the Democrats have grown the cartel in America on purpose, and they're killing people with it and stealing from people. They've taught people to steal, that it's okay to steal and loot, and looting and everything else, and we're not. And so they've brainwashed people so far that there's actually people who, if you're sitting at a bus stop and there's a trash can, some of them don't have trash cans, and that's a shame. And that's why some people litter, is because there's no trash can. They might walk a mile and there's no trash can in some places. And they might walk 5 miles and there's no trash can. And that's the fault. We should do better and have more trash cans. And storage centers should have trash dumpsters that are available to their customers. But there are people who are so brainwashed through the Democrat venues and the cartels that they will not be seen. There's a trash can right beside them. They will not be seen putting something in the trash can. They're going to wad it up and throw it on the ground, and they'd be embarrassed, ashamed, and everything else if they were seen throwing something in the trash can. That's the degree of brainwashing. It's not just them. So a lot of them do it on purpose, just to show that they do whatever they want to do, and you can't tell them what to do. And if you try to, they'll flat out kill you, right? And they're anti-law and everything, right? So that's a big group that's like that, but a lot of them just don't want to be seen throwing something in the trash can, and that it hasn't occurred to them that it's a big deal. And so, if people don't have money, if they're homeless and whatever, they should get some respect if they're not the types who throw trash everywhere. We should probably crack down and make sure we catch the right person. Don't punish the whole homeless community, for instance, if somebody's littering. But let's do a better job of figuring out who does the littering and actually apply the fines. I don't know if you should make it a $500 fine, but just let's be a little more reasonable. But also resolute. So they're not resolute because our punishment is unreasonable, But unless they're tearing up a building or something, that should be a $500 fine or more. They should be probably detained until they pay it off. So we need to switch our system to where people, if they steal from somebody, they're automatically in debt to the person they stole from, and they're bound to pay them back. So, it's not to. I think there should be an announcement if we change the rules like that, and we can't make up for everything everybody did in the past. We can't make them pay for everything they ever stole. We allowed them to be taught to steal. I got word twisted, but we allowed for them to be taught that stealing is okay, and we've looked at other things and demonized drugs instead of demonizing stealing, right? And so the people don't even believe the demonization of drugs, because not to the degree they do it. We take take dealers through court for years and years and years and try to give them 200 years, and then we knock it down to 10 years, and we take 5 years to put them in jail instead of just giving them a ticket for not having a license to deal and stuff like that, and being resolute, and then offering licenses. And we got to have some venue that offers licenses. Then you'll find out that most of them won't want that license because they're not even real dealers. They're not even somebody interested in medicine. They're interested in being a predator, getting somebody a little dizzy and making them feel guilty and isolated from the law, and then robbing them, raping them, or something else, or whatever, killing them sometimes. They do those things. And most of them do that. Most of them are predators. Most of them steal, right? They're just predators. And they're not real dealers, but there's a very few. Some of those will want to pursue the proper license. All right, so I'm going to end right there. And so much for it being super devotional. Hopefully I tied it in. I can't go more than 30 minutes. And hopefully I can't go 29 minutes, hopefully. But it's the longest video I've done in a while. And I'm trying to think if I forgot one point, but I have 15 seconds. And I'll just say, God bless and rise with 1 John 4:8, he that loveth not knoweth not God, for God is love.